Sanibonani Mthwakazi, mina yimi umnumzana Thabo Sesizwe, omunye wabaholi benhlanganiso Mthwakazi Heritage Investment Fund.
Sanibonani Mthwakazi, mina ngingu-finance Phiri, omunye wabaholi benhlanganiso Mthwakazi Heritage Investment Fund.
Mthwakazi Heritage Investment Fund Isikhwama Sesizwe. Isizwe kuyisizwe sikaMthwakazi. Mthwakazi Heritage Investment Fund Isikhwama sokusungula komnotho wesizwe sikaMthwakazi. Sizakunanzelela ukuthi isizwe sikaMthwakazi is one of the nations within ilizwe leZimbabwe, which is where our lands and heritage lies. It's one of those nations that could be considered as a poor nation, begithi isizwe sabayanga. So Mthwakazi Heritage Investment Fund Isikhwama Sesizwe sokusungulisa umnotho wesizwe sikaMthwakazi.
Le idea yesikhwama sesizwe came from umphakathi okaMthwakazi. Sizananzelela ukuthi abantu bakithi bekhala every time nxa kwenzakala nje into ebahamba kubi elizweni lakithi. So ngaleso sikhathi ma kwenzakala into engabahambi kuhle, abantu bonke bakhala ngelizwe elilodwa bathi kanti indaba singahlanganisi esilakho ukuze sikwanise ukuthi sifixe la ama-problem esilawo. So ukukhala lokhu ukukhala osokwenzakale for a long time, and from one of our groups uThabo Sesizwe lapho Sesizwe came up and said, you know what, why don't we take this initiative sisukumise le nto le ngoba abantu sesikhale kakhulu, but lokhu sikhangelana nje ukuthi ngubani ozayiqala ngubani ozaqala ukuthi ayiphathe le ndima. And from there the idea mushroom ukuthi you know what, i-hashtag the walk mayincedise ukuthi iqale le ndima.
I-hashtag the walk inhlanganiso esungulwe ngo-2019. Isungulwa after a long walk that was actually done from Bulawayo to Harare and back to Bulawayo again. Kuhanjwa ngenjongo yokucreate i-awareness around issues of cultural diversity and ethnicity kwisizwe sabaThwakazi as well as across the whole country eyeZimbabwe. So i-hashtag walk yiyo inhlanganiso e-responsible ngathi mina ethwele umthwalo okusungula isikhwama sesizwe Mthwakazi Heritage Investment.
Le Mthwakazi Heritage Fund le izaphetha uMthwakazi sesimele ngezakhe inyawo mpo ngomnotho. Yikho lapho esikhangele khona. Sifuna ukuthi uMthwakazi azimele, azibuse ngomnotho, akwanise ukucontrola ama-resources akhe, akwanise ukucontrola i-destiny yakhe. Singabi lokhu sikhala, sifuna ukuthi sifanane lezinye izizwe ukuthi we control our means, we control our ways, not ukuthi khona sibe sicontrola ngezinye izizwe. It's high time uMthwakazi azisukumele ngezakhe inyawo, and uMthwakazi uyakukwanisa lokho. Ayisukuthi uyehlulela ukuthi akukwanise, ukuthi nje sihlanganise amakhanda siyakwenza lokho.
And it's very true okushoyo Phiri, when we talk about inkululeko yesizwe sikaMthwakazi, it's a very, very sad situation ukuthi siyisizwe esilomhlaba onothe kakhulu, esile-heritage enothe kakhulu, and yet the only thing that we have been good for, or that we have been important for, both in our own country, elizweni laseZimbabwe, as well as across the world, has been just as consumers and as customers. And
le fund yeMthwakazi izaphetha ngomthwakazi sezimele mpo ngezakhe inyawo. Ngoba uMthwakazi isikhathi sonke ubengelakho okungokwakhe. Yonke into icontrola ngezinye izizwe kumbe izizwana. So it's high time ukuthi uMthwakazi laye acontrol okungokwakhe ukuze acontrole i-destiny yakhe. So kuphetha uMthwakazi sezimele ngezakhe inyawo engasolwana ocelayo le okhongozele from ezinye izizwe.
That's very true, and uyawazi ukuthi there is nothing as important as ukuthi isizwe sizimele ngezaso inyawo. Right now, Mthwakazi, as a nation, and Mthwakazi as a collective, we do not have the control of any industry. We do not have the control of any economic asset or any wealth, asila not at all, as this is Mthwakazi. As a result, anything can happen to Mthwakazi anywhere in any part of the world, whether it's Zimbabwe or it's outside Zimbabwe, and there is nothing that is out there that protects us or as being part of the nation. So, Lapa injongo yethu ngeSikhwama Sesizwe sikaMthwakazi is to build that economy that will be our shield in many or any of the issues that could arise or that do arise, or that we face singabathwakazi, to make sure that is strong and also competitive against ezinye izizwe. And the primary two things eziyinjongo yesikhwama sesizwe, which we go by, is one, to be able to own our institutions, and then number two, to be able to control that which we own. And all these institutions that we would like to control and own, including the services that we want to control, are things or institutions and services that influence our communities that we speak up on every day, whether it is in Zimbabwe or whether it is outside Zimbabwe, whether we want Mthwakazi, whether or outside Mthwakazi. The institutions that influence our lives, in any aspect at all, we want through Isikhwama Sesizwe to be empowered enough to be able to say we control that and we make the decisions of whatever it is that that is used for Sizwe Sakithi, whether in business, retail, or in industry, or in education, or in health. We want to be able to have control of any institutions or any services that happen or influence our lives within our communities.
And Sikhuluma, yes,
just to add on to what he's saying, a good example, Indian Amajuda, they control. It doesn't matter where they are in the world.
Yeah.
They control the environment. Yeah, they control everything wherever they are. It doesn't have to be elizwe like lapho bakhona. Loba bekuliphi khona lomhlaba baya control. That is from sibe just exactly like that.
That is very true. And you know what? This is a very important point actually to expand a little bit on it as well. Why the need whether to have Isikhwama Sesizwe and who else is doing it out there? And I would say many other nations within which Abathwakazi live today as just customers and consumers, by the way, but zile zikhwama zabo zesizwe. And we find ourselves just being the facilitators of consumers.
Yeah.
They are consumers, being their customers, and then you ask yourself, can we not own our own stores? Can we not own our own shops? Can we not own our own things? But those are just individual business lines or industries that we can own and control and take over wherever we manage to set ourselves up to do that. But the ultimate real goal, the ultimate benefit really is Isikhwama Sesizwe, ukuba leSikhwama Sesizwe, inkululeko yesizwe sikaMthwakazi, ukuthi uMthwakazi abe ngumthwakazi ozimele ngenyawo zakhe, uMthwakazi abe ngumthwakazi okwazi ukuzivikela in any given situation, meaning ukuthi when you know ukuthi you are nxa uzazi ukuthi ungumthwakazi, you must be able to walk with your shoulders held high, ngokuthi uyingxenye yesizwe esiqakatheke kakhulu njalo esizimeleyo ngomnotho waso njalo esikwazi ukuzivikela ngomnotho as well through e-wealth that that it would never amass.
And so that's great. Sikhuluma ngama-benefit, abantu baza-benefit kanjani lo part of this one.
So ama-benefits awukuba Isikhwama Sesizwe ngiyazi ukuthi kaningi abantu they like to ask us ukuthi so mina ngi-benefita njani, and kaningi we also always respond in one way. Sithanda ukuthi sithi ebantwini we want to cancel out the very idea ethi yona mina ngi-benefita personally. Kwathi kuyiwa empini kuyiwalwelwa ilizwe at that time kuyiwalwelwa inkululeko yeZimbabwe, akula ngiyathemba owayesiyempini eseqale wabuza ukuthi pho mina manje personally ngibenefita. If that question were to be asked, I would love to know what the answer would have been at that time. Lapha sikhuluma ngesizwe sikaMthwakazi, which is a collectively poor nation, meaning ukuthi regardless of your social status whether as an individual, when we are put together, when we are grouped together or classed together, we all become one big poor group of people that are vulnerable to all the other nations that we would be standing right next to every day. Akula nto esenza ukuthi lathi siqakatheke nxa simiswe labezinye izizwe, and therefore that's why we are always wondering why sithi abaqhatshiweyo if sibe lenhlanhla yokuqhatshwa. That's why we are always wondering why our own factories are closed, and why somebody else who we feel is better empowered than us, why our skhatshi. We are always wondering why the banks are not in our favor, because we don't control those institutions, and that's where we want to go against Isikhwama.
Yeah, adding on to what you just said, you're going to eat direct benefit. Singayekela ukuthi isizwe sethu sisukume sibe mpo, it means abazukulu bakho baze be in a worse position than us today. So singama mpo, abazukulu bakho they are guaranteed ukuthi impilo yabo izabe ihlelekile, but kufuze uyakhe namhlanje generational wealth ayiphonga isukuma nje isimile nje from nowhere, iqalisela somewhere, there's a beginning. So lapha sifaka impande zayo, uqala ngawe lami ukuthi sifake lezi impande zayo, and impande zayo lezi zizathatha isikhathi, zingayekela ukuthatha isikhathi ma sifeza ngokushesha, but ma sikudula inyawo izathatha kude. So it's amongst us, it's yiwili yethu njengomthwakazi ukuthi sifuna ukuthi sisheshise okungakanani, but kodwa i-benefit yangikhona i-benefit ezasholobela generation to generation to generation. Singayekela namhlanje ama-generation abuyayo ngabe vele moshakele.
And remember also ukuthi khona lapha sikhuluma really ngenkululeko kaMthwakazi, we're talking about economic freedom. We're talking about political freedom, all the freedoms that you can think of. For instance, Mthwakazi, ziqala Isikhwama Sesizwe, because without money there is no freedom you can enjoy, unless you want to enjoy the freedom according to what other nations or what abanye abantu, whether umakhelwane or ngabezizwe ezivela kude, what they would like or would make you enjoy. In other words, you don't become in control of your own freedoms and how you want to manage those freedoms. So, Tinalapa is to see achieve. And that's what we want to achieve. We want to achieve the ability to control our own freedoms. We want to, to achieve the ability to control our everyday lives.
Imagine ukuthi namhlanje pandemics. Yeah. Ama-pandemics sebevala lamabhodi ukuthi alikwaniswe ukuthi liphume elizweni ligijimebeleze laphisa kwenye indawo. Fuze likwanise ukuthi within your means you are able to do certain things. Manxa liyisizwe esijombileyo lingokwaibheshu akulala nto elikwanisa ukuyenza limoshakele liphelile. So sifuna ukuthi within our means within our territories sikwanishe ukuthi sizisize ngayo yonke into sibe self-sufficient into engekho namhlanje.
Uyakwazi ukuthi one of the things Philly, that I remember I faced when we were talking to our members, they wanted to join this week. I remember I was conference with one member, and he said to me, but you know what, Tina, already we are doing something like this, Escaben Sagiti, CPs, Namakliniki, Isikhwama clinics, Siabendi's Polo and stuff like that. So how different is that from Isikhwama Sesizwe? Like, are you doing something that is, it sounds the same, and then so, which means, okay, you do that and we do this. And omunye la iwabuya futhi, you not even food. La iwabuya ngokuthi kona, you know what, mina katesing this in politics, we so we are different political parties. That is something similar. And one of the things that I was very, very stern about emphasizing to these people or to Mthwakazi, we are talking about Isizwe, the nation itself. These within Isikhwama Mthwakazi, we are talking about all the different ethnicities. Isizwana zonke Mthwakazi coming together to build one, pocket of wealth. Umnotho owodwa oyiwo osivikela ezingozini zonke zomhlaba versus ukuthi each different tribe or each different ethnicity even yenzo okwayo isiyale, because that then becomes a divided nation. Mthwakazi evele isizwe esikhulu formed out of different ethnicities. So at the end of the day, what we have found happening is that while we all are are involved in some developments or community initiatives and developments as working as Wakama clinics and stuff like that, we are doing those developments or those improvements, economic improvements in our communities where we do not retain control, or where we do not have a title to ownership or control of those zona lezi zinto siyabe sizakha kumbe esiyabe sizidevelop. And at the end of the day, again, sithina sesingabakhalayo futhi ukuthi but laphana yithi esakha isikole lesana, yithi esapenda isibhedlela lesana, yithi esahambisa izingubo laphana, but how come still we are not happy with how the institution is functioning? We are not happy with how the performance yabantwana bakithi abesikolo, abantwana bakithi bafeyilile bonke grade 7. How do we deal with that? And Tina, Mthwakazi Heritage Investment Fund, what we believe in is that in order for Isikhwama Mthwakazi to improve its own education system, to improve its own health system, to improve any of the institutions or systems or services that it requires for abantu baso isizwe leso ukuthi baphile kuhle, we must own and be in control of the institutions that exist within our communities. And owning those institutions, those services, whether it is services provided by industries or businesses or whatever it is, we need to be to have money. And ukuthi sibe nemali, it means ukuthi abathwakazi bona so kumele ukuthi banjani bahlangane and bazimisele ukuthi just like anybody that would like ukuzibona ekhululekile, you would want to go and be a part of ukulwela leyo nkululeko. Lathi lapha sithi abathwakazi abakubonayo lokhu kuduka usizwe sikaMthwakazi, it is your obligation and your responsibility to feel that you must be a part and parcel of Isikhwama Sesizwe. You join Isikhwama Sesizwe, you become part and parcel of a commitment of contributing towards Isikhwama Sesizwe, so that Isikhwama Sesizwe through our investments that we are intending to do Isikhwama Sesizwe. Isikhwama Mthwakazi, we are talking of millions of people. Last year alone, abantu abase-South Africa, and we know the greater majority of abantu abase-South Africa ngabathwakazi. Abantu abase-South Africa last year alone bangenise over 640 million US dollars ekhaya. Just ukusupporta inteni, supporting family members. So if nxa abathwakazi abase-South Africa alone bekwanisa ukuthi bangenise 640 million dollars according to World Banklohulumende waseZimbabwe, 640 million US dollars engenileyo, ingeniswa through abomkhulu, ingeniswa through abomalayicha. How much in service fees do you think that 640 million dollars garnered for the companies which belong to other nations, to ezinye izizwe lezikhwama zazo? How much do you think abathwakazi paid to get that money into Zimbabwe ukuthi izihlobo zihle izithole leyo support? Probably, if you calculated it at 5%, you'd be looking at over 30 million US dollars for the year. Over $30 million for the year. That would have gone to enriching our entrepreneurs or our business people, to be able for us to feed our own families. And what we are saying is, why can't that money have gone, or shouldn't that money have gone to our own pocket? To our own pocket, let's say to Isikhwama Sesizwe, Sika Mthwakazi. And if you are talking about the potential that we expect out of Isikhwama Sesizwe, Sika Mthwakazi, the potential that we expect out of Sika Mthwakazi, year in a day, if we've got $640 million, South Africa, we're not talking about over $1 billion that is available worldwide, just in South Africa alone. That means we do have a potential to at least compete with Umpuru, where the former service charges as charges one at Tina Jabatas, plus too many money. So if I'm able to give Umpuru 5% with every transaction that I do to send money to Zimbabwe to support my family, why can't, as abattoirs, we come together and take at least 5% of our earnings per month or per year? 5% of each Mthwakazian's earnings per year. That would be over $32 million a year that we can generate It will only take a few years, probably even less than 5, maybe less than 10 years if we look at it a little bit long term, before we probably don't need to worry much about contributing individually as abattoirs towards Isikhwama, because CBSSE hlanganise enough capital, enough seed capital to be able to have that money generate its own wealth or generate residual wealth for Israel's Mthwakazi to be able to provide services to Inzalo Mthwakazi throughout the world, and also the Zimbabwe. It is going to be money that can go to development, Mthwakazi, creating of industries, or establishing of our industries, training of youth yakiti, Mthwakazi, abantwana bakaMthwakazi beyiswe ezikolo, providing amazing health service for abattoirs. We can have our own hospitals.